Just hours ago, U.S. B-2 bombers unleashed bunker-buster bombs deep inside Iran. Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan obliterated, the White House says. But why now, and what comes next? In this video, a full breakdown of the strike, the fallout, and the future of the Middle East. What just happened? The U.S. strikes Iran. It happened in the dead of night. American B-2 bombers took off under complete silence, heading straight into Iranian airspace with one mission: to strike Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, Iran's most heavily guarded nuclear sites. Within minutes, massive bunker-busting bombs were dropped on Fordow, buried deep within a mountain, while Tomahawk cruise missiles hit Natanz and Isfahan with devastating accuracy. President Trump called the operation a complete success, declaring that Iran's nuclear threat had been neutralized and warning that more strikes would follow if Iran retaliated. Inside Iran, panic spread as air raid sirens echoed through the cities and civilians rushed to shelters, realizing that for the first time in decades the United States had launched direct attacks on Iranian soil. Now, with the world on edge, all eyes turned to Tehran, waiting to see how Iran will respond. Iran's response was swift and furious. Within hours, over 40 missiles were launched toward Israeli cities, causing injuries, fires, and chaos on the ground, as Iran declared the strikes a direct act of war. But while the retaliation was immediate, it raised a deeper question. Was this just the beginning? Iran's leadership vowed unforgettable revenge. Yet behind the fiery words lies a difficult reality. Its military is stretched thin. Many of its missile bases have already been targeted by Israel, and its proxies across the region have suffered heavy losses in recent months. Still, Tehran holds dangerous cards: the ability to target U.S. military bases in the region, disrupt global oil shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, or unleash cyber attacks and drone swarms that can destabilize regional power grids or ports. And while Iran weighs its options, the risk of escalation grows by the hour, not just between the U.S. and Iran, but across the entire Middle East, pulling in powers like Russia, China, and even NATO. The world is now holding its breath, because the next move could decide whether this remains a limited conflict or becomes a full-scale regional war. Around the world, the reaction to the U.S. strikes has been sharply divided. Israel has praised the operation, calling it a necessary step to protect itself from annihilation. While American allies, like the United Kingdom and France, have urged restraint, warning that a wider war could spiral out of control. At the United Nations, emergency meetings were held as countries like Russia and China condemned the strikes as violations of international law, accusing the U.S. of dragging the region into chaos. Inside the United States, political fault lines are widening. Republicans have largely rallied behind the action, calling it bold and decisive, while Democrats and independent voices are questioning the legality of the move, noting that President Trump did not seek congressional approval before launching the attacks. Protests have erupted in multiple cities, demanding transparency and warning against another endless war in the Middle East. And as oil prices surge and global markets tremble, the world is beginning to understand that this isn't just a regional conflict at S, a turning point in global geopolitics, with consequences that could reach far beyond the battlefield. Now, the question everyone is asking: what happens next? Iran stands at a crossroads, with two paths ahead. The first is escalation, striking back at U.S. military bases in Iraq, Syria, or the Gulf, targeting oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, or mobilizing proxy forces in Lebanon, Yemen, and Iraq to unleash a wave of asymmetric attacks. The second path is restraint using, the global outrage and sympathy to isolate the U.S. diplomatically, rebuild its nuclear program underground, and bide time until the next move. Intelligence agencies warn that Iran may try both calculated retaliation that avoids full-scale war but keeps pressure on Washington and Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, the U.S. has moved more aircraft carriers into the region, placed embassies on high alert, and warned of further strikes if Iran responds. Diplomats across Europe and the Gulf are scrambling to find a pause, a window for de-escalation, but with both sides locked in a high-stakes standoff, even a small miscalculation could trigger something far bigger than anyone intended. The fuse has been lit. The world is watching to see if anyone dares to put it out. This moment could define the decade ahead, because what began as a targeted military strike is now a test of global stability. If Iran chooses restraint, there may still be a narrow path back to diplomacy. But if even one missile hits a major U.S. base or kills American troops, the conflict could explode into something far more dangerous. The United States has made its message clear. It will act decisively without waiting for approval or consensus. Iran, wounded and enraged, is calculating its next move under immense pressure. The Middle East stands on edge, and the rest of the world is bracing for impact. Whether this escalates into regional war or retreats into tense silence depends not only on governments, but on the decisions being made right now, behind closed doors. In the end, history will remember this night, not just for the bombs that fell, but for what came after. The world is watching. The countdown has already begun. This moment, ISNT, just a breaking news headline it, a defining chapter in our modern history. What we're witnessing is far more than missiles and airstrikes. This is a test of global leadership, diplomacy, and the thin line between war and peace in the nuclear age. The U.S. has taken a bold and controversial step. Iran is now facing pressure from within and beyond. And while world leaders talk of restraint, their armies are quietly mobilizing. The truth is, things can change in a matter of hours. That's why it's never been more important to stay informed, not just entertained. If this video helped you understand what's happening beneath the surface, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, because here we dig deeper. We connect the dots, uncover the history, and follow the science and strategy behind the headlines. Leave a comment below. What do you think will happen next? Will Iran retaliate with force, or will this be the trigger for a back-channel diplomatic breakthrough? How far is too far? And is there still time to pull back from the brink? Your perspective matters. This community was built for curious, critical minds, people like you, who want more than just noise. And if you believe knowledge should be shared, don't forget to like this video and pass it on. One share could mean one more person who understands what's really going on. We're not just watching history, we're living it, and together we'll keep decoding it. This is Decoding History and Science. Stay aware, stay sharp, and stay tuned, because the story isn't over. It's just beginning.